So Hugo is what we're talking about today. My thoughts and opinions on that. And we just had a video go live yesterday, giving you guys everything about Vivian. Pretty cool. I now have, I don't know why I said I now have. The live stream was like 3 or 4 days ago based off how I'm uploading this video. So today we're going to be talking about Hugo, thoughts and opinions, how I feel about him coming into the game, where he's going to be, whatever. All right. I'm trying to speed run this so I don't take another 20 to 30 minutes. Kicking things off, we can talk about Hugo's playstyle, which is pretty straightforward for the most part if I'm looking at what he's doing. Now, I think he's also a rushdown character, kind of like what I talked about with Vivian before, but I feel like this type of character or this type of rushdown is a little different. In Hugo's case, he has something that they really emphasized at the beginning of the live stream, or rather his part of the live stream, was this ranged ice blast. And this is going to be something that's triggered from the Dark Abyss Quartet, which we don't fully know what that is. Maybe it's like a special attack or a special basic attack or a hold attack, or maybe it's some kind of meter. I don't know. He didn't really have a meter in his gameplay, so I don't really know what this is, but he can trigger it from Dark Abyss Quartet, dodge counter, or quick assist, which is pretty cool. This gives him multiple ways to do this ranged ice blast, but there comes a problem with the ranged ice blast, at least my problem with the ranged ice blast. And I'll go into like a little bit more detail on the character as a whole, like characters like this as a whole. But yeah, anyway, point being, this move by itself looks like, and I don't say that with like disdain, right? I'm not trying to say that the move is bad. I'm saying that it physically, it was not used to the best of its abilities in the live stream. So I feel like looking at it, it doesn't really look like something that I would want to use or put a lot of focus on. Now, the reason for that is because the move itself should have some type of chase down property or cancel tech, one of the two. And I say that because having a move like this, where you essentially have this big ranged ice blast in any other game, fighting game or action based, whatever, doesn't matter. You could even use the Nero from Devil May Cry. He has this whole chain arm thing, and I'm pretty positive he has a move where he can chain the enemy, or rather latch onto them, and either pull them towards him or pull himself towards the enemy in order to continue the combo. Hugo having something like this in his kit where he's able to use this charged blast or not charge it, right? Just an ice blast in general. He's able to use his blast from a multitude of different attacks that he has in his kit. There should be some way to keep the combo or keep the pressure going, because if he just uses his ice blast and the enemy's 50 feet away and you hit them with the ice blast, but nothing happens after that, it makes the move bad in terms of like it breaks the flow of combat and it doesn't feel good. That's why I'm saying it's ass, or rather it looks like that. And on top of that, I'm sure you guys noticed it in the comments, or not in the comments, but in the live stream as well. If you didn't, basically, whenever Hugo was using this move during the entire live stream, he was getting bopped. All right, he did not he didn't have any terms of or any way of iframing this. It didn't seem like he was invulnerable. It looks like he just takes the hit. And with the current state of the game, if this, like maybe, I don't know, maybe this has something where it's like reduced damage, who knows? But in the current state of the game, he can pretty much get one tapped or two tapped depending on the enemy. And some of these enemies just don't care, right? Shadow Hugo, for instance, will literally slice and dice whatever's going on. And using this ranged ice blast against Shadow Hugo, for instance, he will quite literally just dodge the blast and then piece up regular Hugo. So I don't think he wants to do that move at all. So it creates this thing where it's like you're not really using this move unless you have to, and then when you have to, you might not get anything from it. But I don't know, maybe it's just a move, right? After that, we have EX skill, which is going to be called Soul Hunter Punishment, and this seems like a pretty standard damage move. Now, what's cool about this move is that the properties change against stunned enemies, and they're going to give you the totalize effect. And then versus non-stunned enemies, this move is going to have the Daze increased greatly. I like that. I like that he has this on-off mode, if you will, where whenever the scythe is out, basically, and he has the enemy stunned, he's able to get more offensive properties from it. Damage, speed, new attacks, whatever. And then when he doesn't have that, so he's not fighting a stunned enemy, he's actually able to get more Daze. This is going to help him get to the on state a lot faster, right? Getting online a lot faster. This type of character, not mechanic, concept, the way it's built or designed, this is a good character design. It's really good game design when it comes to like on-off characters. But like I said, that ranged ice blast has to get fixed up. Another thing about his EX special is that it looks like a two-parter. Lycan, for instance, has this 2-part attack. So actually, all of Lycan's kit is really like a 2-part attack. He has charge moves and then basic, regular, not charge moves, uncharged moves. And so they have different properties. One comes out faster, the other comes out slower. One has more damage and Daze, the other has less Daze, but more damage, something like that. And then the other literally has more attacks built into it, like his EX skill, for instance, if you hold it versus if you tap it, and it gives you different animations so that you can do different things, different cancels, different strings, whatever. In Hugo's case, Hugo looks like, from the live stream at least, where he had a move where he could just hold it, I'm assuming, and the blade spins in place, and then he does whatever he wants after that. Or there was another move he did where he does like a double slash attack, but he didn't do the spin blade yet. And I think maybe that might be the 2-parter. I'm not entirely too sure. I'd have to get my hands on the character and figure it out. The live stream mentioned that after he uses certain attacks, he's going to be able to get out this ranged ice blast, right, that we talked about earlier. I wasn't really sure what that was, but like I said, the Dark Abyss Quartet, maybe it's some kind of special attack or special basic attack, I don't know, but it looks like he has basic attacks with the suitcase and then some with the scythe, and then the only ones that are being canceled into the ranged attack happens to be the one with the scythe. So maybe that's how it works. After that, we have Terminating Verdict, which is his core passive. And this looks pretty strong, and I think it rewards stun play, which I like a lot. This particular passive is going to increase his attack based on the number of stun agents in the team. This now promotes double stun teams. I think it's pretty cool. I also think it's cool that the live stream showed that off. They had Hugo, Lycan, and Lighter as one team, which is giving him the maximum boost he can get from a team. And that might sound like it sucks, right? Because I don't want to play double stunner because I don't really like double stunner, but it is what it is. And technically, you're running triple stunner because Hugo also has properties that allow him to stun very fast, or at least at a faster rate than a normal DPS character would be able to do. But here's the thing, right? And I thought this was really cool. It was nice of them to do this. The additional ability is awesome. It's really important to pay attention to this. The additional ability doesn't punish players for not running a two stun team. And the additional ability says that if you have a stunner or support agent on the team, meaning that you can run a standard balanced DPS team at this point, you will gain these benefits. Buffs the damage of the chain attack instead of getting combat attack that you would get from the second stun character on the team. And it's going to buff the damage of Totalize. So this is going to be something that you're going to be getting no matter what, right? You put one stun character on the team, you're going to be getting that. You put a second stun character on the team, and now you're getting an increased attack percentage from whatever it is they're going to be giving you in the game. But if you don't do that and you run support, well, now you're not really losing on the attack, but you do still get whatever the support is going to give you. So you kind of weigh your options on what you want to do. I like that they're not punishing you for making that decision. I like that it's a little bit more open. This goes into what I was talking about before with so many of the characters like Miyabi, Evelyn, and even Vivian that we talked about yesterday. Why these characters are so much better than someone else in their class, right, or their role. It's not specifically the damage output. I know people immediately think about damage, but it's not that. It's the versatility that they have in their kits that allow them to do things that the other characters cannot do. Not only does he have all that for a core passive, but his core passive is also going to increase the crit rate and crit damage after using a chain attack or stunning the enemy. Depending on how much this might let you play with different builds. And this also goes into the final piece of his core passive, which is going to be triggering the Totalize effect. And this is going to happen from EX skill or from the ultimate. This basically is cashing out the remaining stun bar for immediate damage. Now, what this particular damage is based on, I'm not entirely too sure. I understand conceptually that it's going to be the stun itself. So if you have 1% of the stun meter left whenever you do an EX skill or ultimate with Hugo, then you're going to be doing 1% of that damage. But if you have 100% or rainbow meter of the stun bar, then you're going to be doing 100% of that damage. Now, something that I'm a little confused on, right? Like the stun multiplier, for instance, how does that apply to what you're doing? Or his crit rate and the crit damage and then attack percent, how does that apply to what you're doing? Like there's clearly a formula or Totalize. I just don't know what it is. Clearly, they're not going to tell us the formula inside of the live stream. But if you happen to know what that is, by all means, let me know. I'd like to know. Now, how this works is it's going to immediately remove the stun state from the enemy. They will immediately recover from stun, which is kind of crazy for a DPS character, right? You work so hard to get the stun just to take it away. But You also get to accumulate an extra amount of days after you do this move, or after you use Totalize, right? The effect, which I think is pretty cool. Now, when you add into the fact that you're probably running him with 2 stunners, but if you're not, 1 stunner is okay. Primarily being that you're running him with himself and at least 1 other stunner, right? And depending on the stunner, depends on how fast you're going to be able to stun things or get extra stun, whatever. But when they're not stunned, we talked about this earlier, yeah? Hugo gives himself a Daze boost. He boosts the damage, or rather the daze that his EX skill and whatever other attack is going to be doing to non-stun enemies. So not only does Totalize jumpstart the Daze bar to, I don't know, X percentage, right? It looks like at least 25%. It jumpstarts the Daze bar depending on how much daze you sap away from them during the stun window for EX skill or ult for Totalize. You get extra amounts of daze automatically applied as soon as they recover out of it. Then you have your double stun, and then you also have the fact that he has EX skill in order to jumpstart even more daze, right? So now I'm thinking of combo where it's like, okay, you can pop ult as soon as you see rainbow meter, you pop Hugo's ult, Totalize happens, it saps everything away. You EX skill right after that. And so now you started with 25%, EX skill has an increased daze amount, and now that 25% is somehow jumped up to 50%. During the process, you would have switched teched out to go on a Lycan or lighter. They're building up daze, and we already know lighter, full screen EX, uppercut into the slam down. That's a clean like 20-40% right there. Boom, they're dazed immediately. You go right back into Hugo. As soon as you see that daze meter, trigger the stun, go right back into Hugo. He does chain attack, builds up all his crit rate and crit damage, activates that passive, and then he EX skills again. It's crazy. The ability to jump in and out of stun at will from this point, right? Like at this point, he is jumping in and out of stun whenever he wants to, as long as you're playing the character and the team correctly, of course. But this is what I meant when I said he's going to help bring the stun DPS or stun teams up to snuff with what we have right now in the game. Now, I don't think this is going to put him on the same map as Anomaly, but I do think that being able to essentially force the stun, take it away whenever you want, and then reapply it almost immediately compared to anyone else in the game is huge. And I like that this offers yet another, this is the big one right here, it offers yet another play style that we can have. You know how many DPS, complete different tangent, you know how many DPS characters we have in the game right now that all have different forms of playing the game? A more rhythmic base, base character, Soldier 11, a base standard character where she is mostly wanting to be on field, but she also wants to stun to help her out, right? To attack stun enemies. But if you learn how to play this character, you learn, this is literally something I could teach you this like 3 minutes tops, right? Learning the timing of her basic attacks is not hard at all. You get all the rewards and benefits from the EX skill version of her basic attack, right? The flame suppression, without burning meter. She is the only character in the game, or rather one of the characters. No, I'm pretty right. Yeah, she's the only character in the game that is able to use EX moves without using EX meter. She is a free character. Not free as in like, I mean, obviously you can get her, but I mean like the combat, her resources are free. And then using EX meter is just extra damage, iframes, animation cancels for your teammates to come in, or stun, whatever the case may be, right? But that's one type of character. We have Ellen. Some of y'all just refuse to learn how to play Ellen. It's cool. You don't have to if you don't want to, right? Miyabi exists for that reason. And Ellen is a little bit more of a technical, in your face, in and out, like, right, a hit and run type of character. I backdash, I get in, I get out, I swim around the enemy, I do my stuff. Adding Mindscapes doesn't necessarily increase her damage, but it does increase, or rather change, her viability for playing teams. Some of you guys may not know this, but using M2 Ellen allows you to run an Anomaly-based Ellen, or at least put her on an Anomaly team, which then helps her stay up to par with what DPS stuff we have going on right now. M1 makes it so that you don't gotta charge anything. You literally just chomp, and she gets max stacks, you're good to go. And that makes it so much smoother for you to play that character and keep the stacks up for, honestly, an infinite amount of attacks, whatever it is that you're doing. We have Evelyn. Evelyn focuses on the chain attack gameplay, as well as a lot of switch tech. You have Nekomata, another rushdown character. Hyper, an Anomaly character that loves to spin to win, but she doesn't only spin to win. Jane, a physical DPS unit, basically at this point, who just happens to focus on Anomaly. Yanagi abuses disorder, and now we have Hugo. There's so many characters with so many different playstyles in this game that you would have to be blind to say every character plays the same. All stun units play the exact same. All DPS characters play the exact same. All anomalies play. You have to be blind on purpose to not see all the different play styles that exist. And then when you start adding in teams and combos and whatever else, like the game is good for that. Like all the combos you can do. Oh my goodness, bro. It's wonderful. So Hugo adding yet another play style into the game. I love it. So now, just like I did with Vivian, we can actually talk about his the builds, right? The gear, whatever the case may be. And I feel like this one is a little bit more simple, to be fair. And quite honestly, I don't think we have something that he has as a best in slot. Like a disk drive set, you would have to make one just for him at this point, because no one else is able to do something like that, right? And to be fair, what we might be missing is just a disk drive set for chain attacks. This would not only be beneficial to him, but also beneficial to a character like Evelyn as well. So I think maybe that's something that we're missing, right? Like a 2-piece boost chain attacks by 48% damage. That's me being bonkers. Don't do that. But be a pretty cool 2-piece. I'm not gonna hold you. Anyway, because we don't have anything that's a best in slot for him right now, I feel like 4-piece woodpecker and a 2-piece branch and blade is gonna be the go-to there. But depending on how much crit and crit rate and crit damage he gives himself through his own passive, you might be able to look at an attack percent 2-piece instead, or maybe you're looking at a full 4-piece hormone instead, right? Like there's a couple of different options that he has to make him viable. And again, going into what I was mentioning earlier, changing your sets is a good thing, right? And I don't remember if I mentioned this in the Vivian video or in this video that got deleted because the lights went out, but you should absolutely be changing your sets, right? So I'm just gonna mention it in both if I didn't. The game is at a point now where you shouldn't be running only one set. I know the whole gacha thing and like Hoyoverse games or whatever, and like, oh man, farming, whatever. Same crap I say in Starro, but it's a little bit more lenient over there because, you know, it's harder. In Zenless, it's super easy to make builds. It's more expensive to build characters, right? Resource-wise, management-wise. But in terms of the disk drives, very easy for you guys to get disk drives. We get like 6 runs a week for free or 5 runs a week for free, something like that. So you have plenty of time or plenty of resources to build disk drives. You should be changing your builds based on the teams you play. Why? Because not every character plays the exact same way with the same build. I understand that what I'm talking about right now is like, if you're still here in terms of the gameplay level, the average level of understanding Zenless, it's okay. I'm not shaming anybody. What I'm talking about probably doesn't matter to you because you won't understand what I'm explaining or you haven't experienced what I'm explaining. When you go above that level though, right? And you get to what some of us could consider high level, quote unquote, Zenless gameplay, the stuff that you see like Yogi, for instance, right? Yogi plays Haramasa. He's like one of the Haramasa mains. R2 plays Haramasa. He's one of the Haramasa mains, right? You go watch any of their gameplay and you're like, oh my God, wow, that's crazy. How'd you do that? It's because they're above, right? Like they're on that level to be able to do something like that. So when I talk about this, I'm talking about it in that relation that you're trying to achieve, right? If you don't care about getting better at the game, doesn't matter what I'm talking about. You should be changing your builds based on who or what you're playing, the team, the characters, against the enemy, so on and so forth. A Haramasa with shock, right? A shock team. You're not using the same build on a shock team Haramasa that you would be using for a burst Haramasa, right? If you're using a burst DPS Haramasa, you're not using the same team. I'm not running the same Haramasa or the same Yanagi, right? We had this whole conversation and I thankfully a lot of people understood it to the point where like, okay, we can accept that because like that makes complete sense when I talked about Yanagi and Miyabi, right? So a burst Yanagi does not run the same set as a DPS Yanagi. And a Yanagi that's focused more on, I guess, like the anomaly pops themselves or building shock is also not running the same set as a Yanagi that is focused on popping the shock as often as possible. There's so many different builds that you guys can do. Burnice and the whole like the Chaos Jazz set, amazing set, probably her perfect set. Some characters you just don't need to change anything for, right? But then you look at the stats, and the stats are probably something that you change. Weapons, different weapons types might be something that you change on the characters, right? Or rather, if a weapon gives you a certain thing, you're using a free-to-play engine, you need to make up for that, what you're missing. But then you get an engine that gives you the thing that you were missing, and now you can change your build again because now you might be overcapped on crit or AP or crit damage or attack, whatever. All of this goes into what I'm talking about. But the final little bit is the W engines when it comes to Hugo, which I feel like, to be fair, I don't really know what his W engine does. They didn't say it. I assume it's going to have a noticeable damage difference, but it's kind of hard to tell due to the entire totalize thing. And I think the only thing that would make this obviously his W engine would be something like if they made it like Evelyn. Evelyn's W engine is made for her. The only other character that can kind of use it, Soldier 11. And even then, you probably want Brimstone over that, but I don't know the math on that, right? I'm just like guesstimating right now. In Hugo's case, I wouldn't be surprised if his W engine said something crazy and it was like, hey, specifically totalized damage is increased by 9,000%. Like they would just, hey, the crit values of totalize are increased by 50% of whatever your normal crit values. I would not be surprised if they said some crazy wicked stuff like that, because it is only good for Hugo. But because of that, it would be so vastly stronger, or so much stronger than what we have available to us now. However, we do currently have some good options in the game. Let's remove the signature for just a moment. Brimstone, really good weapon, especially given the fact that, like I said, if he's giving himself so much crit value through his own passive, and then you have the disk drives to make up for it, the Brimstone might be giving you the attack that you're missing, or a large amount of attack that you're missing, plus the large amount of combat attack through the stacks that you're able to get. So I could see that easily being his second best in slot, depending on what his sig is, right? Mercado Desire is going to be another good one because it also gives you the crit values and the damage percentage as well that you're looking from it. Street Superstar was one that I have not seen in a long time, and Street Superstar is actually pretty cool, being one of the free-to-play options, because that is going to also give you a little bit more. And if I'm not mistaken, Street Superstar gives you the chain attack damage, but I could be wrong on that. I just feel like that's what I'm remembering. Outside of that, you also have some other free-to-play options that might work in your favor, but those were the main ones I looked at that I thought were really strong. Overall, I feel like Hugo is, I mean, I kind of said it throughout this entire video, right? Like Hugo feels like a nice change of pace. He feels like a DPS character that we're going to get that is opening up the door, or rather opening up the floor for more playstyles. He's opening up situations that, especially going into 2.0, where they straight up said we're making better kits. We're making, reworking older stuff, and we're trying to make things more fun, but strong and, like, you know, optimized and consistent. I could easily see Hugo being able to play around, like fuck around and find out, right? I could easily see him being able to do something like that with different characters. Also, same thing that I mentioned with Vivian. I think Hugo and Vivian just kind of work together. I don't know why, but I feel like they would work together, especially because the whole, you know, Vivian's whole thing is like, if somebody else is on my faction or whatever, that'll probably help out in her favor. So we'll see about Hugo. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. I can't say my usual outro is inappropriate for YouTube. Like the video, comment, subscribe. Smell you later.